So welcome back to our tutorial series on unwrapping. As you can see, we've gotten the head of R2D2 finished, including the body as well. So my plan for this R2D2 unwrapping session is to go ahead and actually focus on the pieces that I only need to unwrap once. So in this case, it's going to be the head, all the little diodes on the head, the body, the foot, the support of the front, and the right and the left leg and the right and the left foot. I'm going to go ahead and leave that towards the end because what I'm going to do is I'm just going to unwrap one of the legs, one of the feet, and then I'm going to make a copy to mirror it to the other side and then separate the UVs to save me a little bit of time. But so to go ahead and start, let's go ahead and go down to this little leg section right here. It's good. And then I'm going to go hit and do Shift H to isolate it. And then now, before we get into the unwrapping, I'm going to show you guys the importance of why is it you need to be a little diligent when it comes to your modeling, because sometimes you make mistakes, you don't see it, and then you're going to have to go fix them after the fact. So it's always better to fix the mistakes when you have them at one phase as opposed to creating a model, for example, unwrapping it, and then making a texture, and then figuring out you have some sort of fatal flaw on your mesh that you have to go back and fix. So that means if you have to go fix the mesh, then you have to fix the unwrap again, and then you have to fix the texturing again, and we don't want to do that. So we want to save a little bit of time. And to do that, let's go ahead and figure out what mistakes that I made and how to fix it. So the first and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and go up here to modeling mode and then select my mesh because I want to have it isolated and work with it so I don't have that UV stuff in the way. So I'm going to go and turn on edit mode. And first and foremost, I'm going to take these two cylinders right here and hover over one, L. Nice, sorry. I'm going to select, the first mistake that I made was one, I didn't take these. As you can see, if I hit L over this one, I didn't weld these two elements together. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. So I'm going to this click to show you what I'm doing. So hovering over this one, L, the next one, L, and now I have both of them selected. So that's the first issue that I've made a mistake with. So after I have selected those two, I'm going to go ahead and do Shift H. And then after I've done Shift H, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to weld this together so these two are not separate elements. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and go and turn on X-ray mode. I'm going to go ahead and press 1 for vertex mode, and I'm going to select all of these right here. Yeah, so you can see all nicely selected. And then after I have those selected, I'm going to go ahead and do X to weld. Sorry, I'm going to do M to weld. And then I'm going to go ahead and choose by distance. If I do it at the center, for example, it's going to weld everything to one point, roughly the approximate center point of all these vertices. If I do it at cursor, it's going to be where my mouse, wherever I choose it to be. If I do collapse, it just collapses them all into one vertices. And when I do by distance, then I get to choose the amount of sort of magnetic pull between the vertices that's going to decide whether it's going to be welded or not. So right now, it's set to really, really low, and I'm going to turn it up to see what happens if I turn it up higher to show you the undesired results. As you can see, I didn't want that, so I'm going to go ahead and lower it slightly, and then right when I lower it there, nothing's been destroyed. It's good. It's welded. And then once that's been welded together, I'm going to go ahead and go into press 2 to go to edge mode. And if I hit Alt, I'm going to select the whole row because, as you can see, that really does nothing unless I'm going to do this mirrored, which I'm not. So after I have the whole row selected, I'm going to go ahead and do X, and I'm going to do dissolve edges, and as you can see, that's gone. So okay, the second mistake that I made is, as you can see here, I have some weirdness going on with the mesh here, so I'm going to have to probably do delete some of these faces and do some reconstruction and figure out what the hell I did wrong. So it could be that you've modeled this in a different way and your results are better than mine. If not, it could be you're doing the exact same thing as I did. So first thing and foremost that I noticed is I'm going to go into 3 and press faces, and as you can see, I have this overlapping face here that looks no good. So it serves no function. It's just overlapping and kind of screw everything up inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press X, and I'm going to do delete faces, and as you can see, there's some overlap. And then I'm going to select this one again, X, delete the faces. And then now that I have that, I have something that's a little bit more coherent, because when you see this now, I pull this now, I have something there. So let's see, what's the next thing we can do? I believe, yes, as you can see, this is not, I have issues right here with this piece. So instead of trying to sort this out, I'm just going to go ahead and do X and delete those faces. And then I'm going to do the same here, X, delete the faces. So hopefully now I don't have any sort of funky overlap or anything like that. I don't think so, at least. So next part I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make an extrusion out of this and extrude these faces so I can go ahead and cap this section right here. So I'm going to press 2 for edges. I'm going to select this, this, and this edge. I'm going to go ahead and do to the other side and do the same. This one, and this one. Sounds good. And then I'm going to go into front view, and then I'm going to go ahead and press E. And as you can see, it goes in all sort of funky directions. So I'm going to press, after I press E, I'll press Z, and then it's going to more or less go along with the axis that I want to. Boom, there you go. Now I have the extrusion, now have this a little bit more reconstructed as it should be. So first thing and foremost is I want to go ahead and take all these vertices right here and line them up so I don't have to move anything too dramatically to weld them together. So if I press 1 and go to vertex mode and then press X-ray, I'm going to select this whole row, make sure all of that is selected. And one trick that you can do with scaling is if you scale along one axis when you have these misaligned vertices like this, if I go ahead and just scale it on the blue one, as you can see, what it starts to do is it starts to flatten my mesh. Probably can't see it as much because it's a little bit, as you can see, the more I get, the more I push on it, the more it flattens it. That's good. And I'm happy with that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and weld those vertices that I extruded and created because they haven't been done so already. So I will go ahead and select this whole row just to make sure that I got everything. Cool. Yes, I do. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do M to weld, and then by distance, and it has the same value as it did before. And if I'm not mistaken now, if I turn off X-ray and go to now, I kind of have what these shapes sort of created along the way that I originally intended it to look, as you can see now. And then if I go to edge mode and select these two right here, let's see if I remember, it's F I think, and that closes it off, yes. Select these two right here, 2 edges, press F, good. And as you can see now I have my mesh. Theoretically should be one mesh, but let's go ahead and move something and make sure that I'm not mistaken, because then we have to fix it. No, that's good, good, good. And this is the kind of Q&A that you're going to have to learn when you're being as an artist, because like I said, if you get too many steps ahead and you make mistakes, you have to redo it again. Your boss is probably not going to be understanding and say, it's okay, you can let the schedule just go to shit. You have to go and fix it in your own time, and you don't want to do that. So take a sip of my coffee, and then after I've done that, the next part is going to be doing the optimizing part, because as you can see, some of the vertices are not very well utilized. So to do that, I'm going to make sure to press 1 to be in vertex mode. I'm going to go up here to my options, right up there, make sure that auto merge is turned on, which it is, good. And then I'm going to turn on snap. And then I'm going to make sure that snap is set to vertices, and I'm going to go ahead and start moving some of the ones that I don't need to the right place. So this one is going to be a good start. This one right here, because as you can see, I can easily move these, optimize them, and the mesh, overall shape of the mesh is not affected one way. So let's see, how do we start with this one? And with this one right here could be moved to this. This one right here could be moved to this. This one as you can see, I leave that because that's going to make this sort of extruded shape here. And then I'm going to go to the other side, move those ones that do nothing for the shape, move that here, take that, move that here, good, good. And am I missing anywhere? And then this one right here, these two, right there, and right there, and there. And I believe that's as best as I can do with the optimization. Everything sort of works, but you know what? You could always have a little more. So you can see this little cut here is not exactly doing anything dramatic for the shape. So I'm going to go ahead and press 2 for edge, and then Alt and click this one. And then if I X dissolve edges, you're really not going to see that element that much in the game and such, depending on what sort of format that your game is, if it's first person or third person, that you'll have to determine that yourself. So that looks pretty good to me. So after that's done, I'm going to go ahead and do